then we can. Hello everyone. Welcome to another use case of the week series. This is the second series. This is our second week of the series. I'm Shreya. I work with customer experience at Nexweave, and today, as our co-host, we also have Inder, who is our founder, one of our co-founders. So, Inder, if you could just introduce yourself to everybody.
Yeah, I think Shreya's taken over the sessions very well. Bruce and I were taking the initial sessions, and we loved all the inputs that we got. That's how the product has also evolved. And yeah, this series is just a way to cement the more advanced use cases that were being requested by the community. So I hope you guys are loving it. Keep your inputs coming in. Keep more suggestions coming in. We'll try and take all the questions which are related to the use cases in the session. But if you've got other sessions, we've got a community, we've got a YouTube channel. So go ahead and add those questions over there as well. Over to you, Shreya.
So I think Inder sums it up perfectly. So last week we had the first episode of our series, and we got a great response from a live audience who were excited to participate, and we're looking for the same kind of energy this week as well. For those who are attending this for the first time, let me set up a little bit of context. So, this initiative has been taken by us in order to give our Nextweave users the ability and creativity to really get into the nitty gritties and the advanced use cases, as Inder mentioned. So, what we're really hoping for and looking forward to is hearing your customer success stories by replicating some of the use cases that we'll discuss over the course of the next few weeks, as well as inventing some of your own and sharing that with our plus 1,000 member strong community. So before without wasting any more time, let me jump right into this week's session. So this week, our use case of the week This week's use case of the week is talking about personalized LinkedIn outreach with Nexweave. Now, when I'm talking about LinkedIn outreach here, I'm specifically going to be talking about the Nexweave's Chrome extension for LinkedIn, which allows you to do one-to-one personalization on the fly. So, what do I mean by on the fly? Well, this extension will let you embed Nextweave personalized media, that is, your personalized images, GIFs, and videos, directly into share that directly through your LinkedIn messages on the go without having to open Nextweave each time. Now, this week's session is slightly more advanced than what we covered last week. This week, we are going to be taking not just one single Nextweave feature and expanding on it. We're going to be taking and combining multiple different aspects of Nextweave as a platform. So stay tuned and watch out. I'm sure you're going to have a lot of questions, but don't worry because we are going to spend some time on those questions in the last 10 to 15 minutes. Not just that, we are also going to if you have any questions that you feel are pertinent and need to be addressed immediately, definitely share that on the chat. Inder can let me know if that question needs to be addressed right now or if we can wait till the end of the session to take a look at that. So let's dive right in. Now, in this session, I'm going to show you a few things. So I've broken this up into parts. First, we're going to talk about the Nextweave Chrome extension, downloading it, activating it, where can you even find that plugin? Then we're going to go into the setup. In the setup, we're going to talk about how to, once you've curated your media assets, how do we actually create the campaigns around them, create the social preview? Don't worry, I know the jargon might seem like a lot right now, but it's going to become clear to you in the next few minutes. Then finally, I'm going to show you how to share that personalized asset through LinkedIn. Now, in this use case, if some of you attended last week, you know that we created a landing page using Nextweave's integrated builder together, right? This was a personalized landing page. It had personalized text, an image, as well as a video. Now, that same landing page is what I'm going to share through LinkedIn to my first connection today. So if you missed last week's session, don't worry about it. The replay is active on the event page and the video has already been uploaded to YouTube as well. So you can go and catch it there. But yeah, this is basically an extension of what we covered last week. So let's dive right in. The first thing is the Nextweave extension. So let's take a look at how to download and activate this. Now for this, you need to navigate to the Chrome Web Store. Just Google search Chrome Web Store, first link you'll find it, and search for Nextweave. Now Nextweave has two extensions that have been made active. One is Nextweave website personalization, and the first one that's written here is the Nextweave plugin for LinkedIn. So this is the one we're going to download. If you're curious about this, stay tuned and come back for week 3 This is where we're going to talk about the website personalization session. So if this is what you're interested in, definitely come back next week. For now, click on the Nexweave extension, just Nexweave, and add to Chrome. Add the extension. And what I'm going to do is I'm also going to make sure that it is pinned to my browser so that it's easy for me to access. Now, when I click on this extension, it essentially asks me to enter an API key. So this is what I need in order to activate this extension. How do we get this API key? Now log into Nexweave and navigate to the integration section. Now I have pages and pages of API keys from all the demonstrations and activities that we've done at Nexweave. For you, this might look a little different, probably empty, maybe a couple of API keys. Don't worry about it. There's no limit. You just click on add key, enter a name for the key. So, and confirm. API key is automatically generated here. Now you just need to copy this key, open your extension again. I am not sure why that happened. Now, where it says enter your API key, just paste the key, click on verify, and you get the message you're logged in. Now, this is a one-time task. Once I've done this and my extension is active and there are no updates, etc., this is going to be live. It's going to be available to use. So this whole setup is just a one-time activity to perform. This now our LinkedIn plugin is activated and ready to use. But before we jump into the LinkedIn platform, remember how I spoke about how we're going to discuss a little bit about the setup? So let's dive into that for a little bit of time. Now, last week, we covered how we can create our very own landing pages using Nexweave. So in my landing page template builder, for those of you who were with us last week, you might remember. For those of you who weren't, as I mentioned again, all of this has been covered inside our tutorial video, which is live on our YouTube channel. So go back and watch that. So this is when I created a landing page layout, and I have set up placeholders for where I want my personalized image to go, my personalized video to go, and of course I have my template text active already. Now, one part of this editor that we didn't cover in quite as much detail last week was the define meta tab, right? I just told you how you can use this page to set up your template name. What's important here, however, is the social preview. So what is the social preview? Now, I told you that we will be sending this landing page through LinkedIn. So I'm going to go to my First Connections profile. I'll type in a message and I'll send them this landing page link. But if this link goes just as is, it may not be as enticing for my connection to click on and actually see what I'm trying to get my point across to them as. So the social preview lets me add an image as well as a title and description to accompany this link. Not only will this help you stand out to your connection, but they're much more likely to click on this link as well as remember you from the kind of message you shared with them. So that's where the social preview comes in. Now, what this lets me do is whether I send this through LinkedIn, Facebook, WhatsApp, or any other social messenger, along with the link of my landing page, I will also be able to see this sort of title and image to go with it. Now, this preview is kind of what it looks like in WhatsApp. In LinkedIn, it looks slightly different. So stay tuned for that. I'll definitely demonstrate that to you. Now, the title and description here are fairly straightforward. You just need to type in the text in the relevant box. If you want to incorporate personalization, you need to copy the variable from here. Just click on the copy icon, paste it, and type in a title. You can do the same thing with the description as well. You can see as I type the title and the description, the preview has automatically adjusted to preview that as well. Now, the last part of this social preview puzzle is the image. So there are two things to consider here. Now I can click on choose an image. I can upload an image from my existing files, upload from my PC, select an image from my media gallery. That's fine. But in that case, the image won't be personalized. Now, what do I mean by that? If I send this link to one connection today, I'll personalize it to their name and they'll have an image. Tomorrow, if I decide to send this to somebody else, the social preview and description will automatically update the username and company value. But if I choose an image from my desktop that is static, that won't be personalized. And since we are a media personalization powerhouse, I'm going to show you how you can, a little trick to change this image to a personalized one. You can already see a default one that says hi username. I'm going to make this a little more advanced, and this image is actually going to contain the company as well as the website personalization along with just the username. Now, let's take a second here. This is, as I mentioned, a personalized image template. And you can create your personalized image templates directly on Nexweave. So I've gone ahead and done exactly that. I've already created an image, a personalized image template that I want to use as my social preview. Now, if you're new to Nextweave, you've not created templates of your own, don't worry about it. We have pages and pages of documentation as well as videos that you can use, and I will share all of these resources with you at the end of this session. So be patient. But I've gone ahead and for the sake of not missing out on too much time, I've already gone ahead and created this template. So once you've identified the template you want to use or created it, you just need to click on its menu and select use. So this opens up my preview page where I can also run something called a quick campaign. So you can see this is what the image looks like. Now, one thing to note here is that the dimensions of this image I have carefully chosen because my aim is to send this via LinkedIn. So LinkedIn itself will say that the preferred dimensions for an image that is being sent out is 1.91 is to 1. Okay, 1.91 is to 1, which is approximately 1200 by 627 pixels, approximately. That's the dimension I've chosen. If you were sending this through WhatsApp or another social messenger, you may prefer different dimensions like a 1 is to 1. But for LinkedIn, it should be 1.91 is to 1. The second thing is I am going ahead in this demonstration with a personalized image. You can choose a personalized image as well as a personalized GIF. The process that I'm about to demonstrate remains the same. So exactly the same steps will be followed. However, it's very important that you keep in mind the size of the image of the GIF that you select. So it should be ideally between a 300 to 400 kilobytes range, not more than 450 to 500 at the most. And that's because the image of the GIF may take some time to render, and the size will definitely impact that time taken. You don't want that to be a situation where you send out this link and your prospect or your connection sees a blank image. So ensure that whatever you decide, whether it's image or GIF, that you're mindful of the size. Now in this GIF, you can see, in this image, sorry, you can see that I've personalized it to the user name as well as the website of that particular user's company. And as I enter the website details, it dynamically updates the screenshot as well as the logo. Again, links on how to do this are available in our help talks and videos. Now, if I want to share this image, I need to generate a link. The easiest way to generate a link is through this quick campaign button. So I'm just going to enter a campaign name. You'll see why it's called a quick campaign in a couple of minutes. And I just click on quick campaign. So none of the steps that we covered in the last video yet. Once I run this quick campaign, I get my experience URL. Okay, that's it. The campaign is run. The image link is active. If you take a look at this link on another page, you'll see that this is what the published version of the image looks like. However, it's picked up the values that have been input over here, right? So it's not really personalized to my prospect, and it's definitely not picking up the details from my landing page yet. So what do we do about that? Now, this trick is going to serve you not just in this particular use case, but this trick is going to take you a long way in using Nexweave across multiple platforms and different use cases, and you'll kind of find it becoming a recurring theme with how we change the data in Nexweave images. So let's take a look at this link a little closer. Let me increase the size. Right now, I haven't specified. I've only been able to specify inside the editor what the username and website value should be. How do I change that? What do I do if I want the username to be my name? What if I wanted to say Shreya? If I want to change these variable values, I don't need to go back and edit a new link each time. I can just modify this URL. So how do I do that? Let me change my font color. Now we can just do that directly from the URL. All I need to do is append this URL. So everything up until this point, let it be the same. Just add ampersand. Ampersand is shift and 7 on your keyboard. Then type in the variable name. So in my case, that's username. I'm just going to type it as is equals. I'm going to enter the value that I wanted to take. I want this to be equal to Shreya. Now for any additional variables, you just need to add the ampersand, once again, variable name, and I want this to be equal to apple.com. In my case, as you can see, I only have two variables, username and website. If you have more variables, you can continue to add them uh, in the URL if you want to modify them. If your variable names are different, make sure you add those variable names. So whatever you've set up here is what you can modify in the URL here. If you want to see a preview of what this looks like, let's just change this to our revised URL. You can see now that it says Hi Shreya. It's the apple.com website screenshot, Apple logo, and it's all been dynamically upgraded directly from my URL, right? So good. This is a good first step. Let's go back to our landing page. Now, in my landing page, I don't just want to specify Shreya and Apple or each time go back and change the social preview again and again. How do I link this social preview image to the variables that are used in the landing page template as a whole? So that if I change the variables in the landing page, it automatically changes it in my social preview as well. What I'm going to do is, instead of Shreya, I'm going to go back to my template. I'm just going to copy this variable. So you see here it says, hey, square brackets username. I'm just going to copy that, and instead of Shreya, I'm going to change it to square bracket username. Instead of apple.com, I'm going to change it to square bracket website. Now, if you're getting a little confused at this point, don't worry about it. The first couple of times you may take a little longer to understand the logic, but no need to worry. Just know that you need to equate the variables in your image URL to the variables that are used in your template. And the reason for this is it creates for a clean workflow. I only need to tell my landing page what I want the username value to be. So in under the variables here, I've said I want the username to be Alicia. Well, Alicia will update automatically wherever I have the square bracket username. So in the title, in the description, as well as in the image. Now I take this modified URL, just gonna copy it and paste it inside my landing page editor. And always remember to save your templates. So what has this done? It's updated the image. You can see a preview and you can, I don't know if you can see this clearly, but it says, hi, Alicia. So it's picked up Alicia as a value from my template directly and automatically updated that in my image. I hope that makes this slightly involved step a little clearer. Now, we're done with our initial setup. In the next step, we've got all our assets together. We've got our landing page, our social preview. I have previously created the image and the video I want to include here as well. That's done. The next step now to make this available to share externally is to create a campaign. Once again, if you attended last week's session, then you are already aware of how to create campaigns for landing pages and why it's important to create a campaign. If you didn't, not to worry, you have all the resources you need at your disposal. I'm going to do a quick walkthrough now as well. So a campaign is a method essentially in Nexweave in order to make any assets you create available to share externally. So you can create the link or the embed code, etc. that is needed for those templates to be shared externally by using a campaign. So you just come to the campaign section, click on create a new campaign. Now, the reason we didn't go with a quick campaign is because the landing page requires a little more tweaking. It's not as quick a process because you are combining multiple templates. The configuration is fairly simple. You set up a campaign name. I've set the campaign type to video plus image because my landing page contains a personalized image as well as a video. Now I'm just going to select the templates that I want to include inside my landing page. So this template is going to replace the image layout inside my landing page. This selected video template is going to replace the video input inside my landing page layout. The thumbnail is going to act as a thumbnail for the video. And finally, I select my landing page template. Now, all of these are coming from my private library, which means these are templates that I have created in the past. And that's where they're being pulled from. You probably will see different values at your end. The remaining configuration, don't worry about for the time being. This portion is where our entire landing page configuration is determined. What landing page I use, what image I insert, and what video and thumbnail I insert. Once I have this, click on Save and Proceed. Now there are two activation methods. Again, for the sake of time, I'm not going to go into these activation methods. Not only have these been covered in previous week's videos, but we have, as I mentioned earlier, extensive documentation and video tutorials available to walk you through the difference between these two, as well as when to use which method. Again, don't worry, I'm going to be sharing all of these resources with you at the end of the session. For now, let's go with the URL override method. It's a little quicker. I have my variables. I'm just going to save this and I'm going to launch my campaign. Okay, that's it. This is where it ends on the Nexweave front. Now we don't need Nexweave, the application anymore. Now it may seem like I've gone through a lot of steps in order to get this setup complete, but as I mentioned earlier, this is a one-time setup. That will become clear to you in a few minutes, but this is a one-time task. I do need to prepare the assets beforehand. By assets, I mean the media templates beforehand. Once this is done, I can send this out to multiple prospects on the go. So I can send it out to someone today. I can pick my next connection a week later, and this template, this campaign will still be active. We're ready now to move on to the final leg of our demonstration today, which is actually sending this through LinkedIn. I'm going to take a moment to pause here to see if there are any questions that you think might be pertinent to answer. I will head over to Inder and just ask, Inder, is there anything that you think I should address at this point?
No, I think we're all good. There were a couple of questions on the size of the image. So Ravi was asking what is the maximum size of the picture. One simple guidance: these assets need to be as light as possible. So if it's an image, keep it under 100 KB. If it's going to be used in LinkedIn, use the aspect ratio that Shreya mentioned of 1.9:1, and you should be good with these campaigns. So these are some suggestions on how you can ensure that those images that you're using over here, they load up in your LinkedIn previews. There have been instances where some of our users have used images which are beyond 1 MB. And what might happen is that these images might not load. There could be a timeout on LinkedIn's end. So you will not see these previews. So make sure that your images are very short in size because the real estate that they pick up on the LinkedIn message is very small. So 100 KB should be all you need.
Should be sufficient, correct. Great.
Yep.
Thank you so much to everyone who's left comments. It's really great to see an active chat. So let's keep this up. So let me go back to sharing my screen and back to the final version, the final leg of our demonstration. Now we're at the meat, right? Now it's all about using the plugin and sending this landing page to my connection on LinkedIn. So I'm going to head over to my LinkedIn, my first connection, Harpreet's page, who is also our co-founder. So now you see, before the Nexweave plugin is activated, this is kind of what it looks like. This is what anyone's LinkedIn page would look like. But let me just refresh this. Just a second, let me just reopen this to make sure. Just bear with me for a moment. Sorry about that. It took me a second to get that right. It happens to the best of us, clearly. Let me jump back into it. Here we go. Okay. I think that just goes to show no matter how much of an expert you are at anything, there is always room to make mistakes. So, getting back into it, now before my plugin was active, what you could see was just message and more as options. After my plugin has been made active, I also have a Nexweave button available on the profile of my first connection. Now, another point to note here is that the plugin will only work with your first connections. So it's not going to work in the LinkedIn, in-mail messaging, etc. Once you've made a connection with someone, you can start sending them personalized content through the plugin on the go. So how do I activate this? I click on the Nexweave button. So that opens up my plugin interface here. Now, this is the campaign that I just created. And you can also see that there are all of my past campaigns here that I can pick from. So that's what I meant when I said this is a one-time task for you to create. Now that I've created this campaign, I can invoke it at any future point in time that I want to as well. So I just click on use against that particular campaign. Then I can personalize this to my connections information. There is some information that is being scraped from the profile, so I can directly copy this and paste it here as well. Or I can enter my own values. So let's say I want it to be equal to HubSpot, the website name, and the company to be, the website to be HubSpot.com and the company to be HubSpot. So first step is selecting a campaign, then we personalized it. In the last step, we're just going to see a quick preview to make sure everything is in order. Yes, this is the video template that I've included in my landing page. And now I can just copy link and close this window. And what does this do? This opens up an entire conversation with Harpreet. And I just need to type in my message here. So actually ignore this. This is one of the older messages that I've sent her. Let me clear this quickly. Copied my link, and that should automatically open up the messaging window with Harpreet. I think LinkedIn is not in the mood to cooperate with me today. So just give me a couple of minutes while this sorts itself out. So let's go through the steps one last time. I hope this is seared in your memory after this. Just going to enter the details that I want this to take. Click on generate experience, copy this. Perfect. My messaging window opens up. Now I can type in the message that I want to share. And just paste this link and then hit send. Now you see, it's not just the link that has been sent across. You can also see the social preview image that has been updated. It has HubSpot logo, the HubSpot website screenshot, as well as Harpreet's name, immediately enticing her to check this out. I'm sure this is going to make anyone you send this to super curious. Now, what happens when they click on this link? Well, that opens up the landing page that we curated for them. This is going to be personalized to contain Harpreet's name, as well as the video that is going to be personalized to her information as well. So the image, the video, everything is intact. All of it has been picked up directly from this platform. I'm not, if you can see my browser window, I'm not even logged into, I don't even have the Nexweave application open. So tomorrow, if I decide to send this to Inder perhaps, then I can always just go to his profile. He is also one of my first connections. You can just click on the Nexweave icon, follow the steps. Just make sure you select the right campaign, and a similar personalized entire workflow will be created for him on the fly, on the go. You don't need to do the whole setup once again. So, despite all the glitches with LinkedIn earlier today, it's I can vouch for the fact that it's pretty smooth. At this point, I've uninstalled and reinstalled the extension about 5 times while I was practicing this demonstration. So that could be the reason why LinkedIn posed a little bit of a concern today. But this is the workflow. This is for you. Where this brings us to the end of our this week's use case of the week. Please go ahead. I'm going to open the floor up for questions. Before I do that, however, I'm just going to share with all of you uh, a feedback form, just as I did last time. I would really appreciate it if you can take a couple of minutes to give me your feedback about today's session and suggestions on how we can improve this for the coming weeks. And if there's something in particular that you'd like to see as well. Now, I have also created a presentation to walk everyone through all the steps we've covered today, along with links to the relevant sections and documents, etc., that you might need as you embark on replicating this kind of workflow or creating your own. So don't worry about if you've not completely followed along. This replay will also be available for you. So go ahead, take your time to fill up the feedback form, and now we open the floor for questions.
Yeah, so there are a few questions that have come up. So one of them is from Pocket Video School. Will GIF images show in the LinkedIn message too? So GIFs can be seen inside LinkedIn messages, but like I said earlier, you have to make sure that the size of those GIFs is extremely small, because if it takes time for the GIF to load and LinkedIn hits a timeout, then there'll be no previews that will be shown. So make sure your GIFs are very small and only then use them in your LinkedIn messages. But just to be safe, you can go with images. We've tried both. There isn't a stark difference in terms of the kind of CTRs that you'll get or the replies you'll get. Even if someone sees a personalized image in your LinkedIn message, that's going to be good enough to get you a reply.
Just to add to that, the process for creating this with GIFs and with images is exactly the same. So feel free to experiment, but there's absolutely no change in the way you would use a GIF versus an image. Just make sure that you use a GIF template as your social preview instead of an image template.
Hi guys, sorry I came here late. Inder, question for people who do want to use GIF images, do you have a suggestion or recommendation as to the size of the file?
Yeah, so for images, we recommend that the size is under 100 KB. The aspect ratio is what is important because different platforms show different aspect ratios. For LinkedIn, it is 1.9 is to 1. Another thing that I recommend is that when you're making these images, try to leave some area at the borders empty, because even if you adapt it to the 1.9 is to 1 ratio, because the message might be open on mobile devices, on desktop devices, some of them might have a slight variation. So uh, adding that little bit of padding on your images will make sure that your core message is not getting cut off on any of the devices. um, in the case of GIFs, it's a little tricky because you will have to probably check the number of frames that are coming in the GIF, because that impacts the size as well.
Right.
So uh, the rule book is very simple. Try to keep images as small as possible, GIFs as small as possible, so that they can render very quickly and appear in these things. And just keep in mind that the form factor that the user is going to see is very small. So you don't need a high resolution image or a GIF when you're trying to get the conversation started.
Okay, good to know. We'll move on to the next one. Michael Price. How do you get the website screenshot to work? As we haven't been able to do that, but it would be very valuable. Yeah, I totally agree.
So that's a
Yeah,
good
so
question. Sorry, Inda, do you want to go ahead?
no, go for it, Shreya.
So we've actually used API.screenshot, if I'm not wrong. I will, Michael, send you across, if you can reach out to us on the support channel, I'll send you across the exact link as well as what we've done in that template. We do have a document for this active as well. Let me see if I can find that link and share it with you.
So while Shreya does that, the tool that we're using over here is screenshotmachine.com. They have an API, so you can go ahead and generate a link that will pull in website screenshots and move that into the Nexweave platform. But there are other tools as well, and go ahead and try them out. If there are some good resources that you come across, let us know, and we'll also share that in the community. In fact, there are a couple of templates that you can also go and clone within the Nextweave public library, where we have used the website screenshot. So you'll get an idea in terms of how we've done it by looking into that particular examples.
And Mr. Price, for your question, if you're on your phone, please take a screenshot. That'll be the URL right there. For you go
So
ahead.
if you go to help.nextweave.com, you can just search for keywords for personalized website screenshot. You'll be able to find this. Pocket Video School says, is it a good idea to add a play button graphic to a static image? So it's obvious it's a video thumbnail and then we can make that image small. Absolutely. Short answer, yes. Definitely do that. That's a good idea. In fact, if you do try it out, tell us what the results are like. We'd love to see how that works for you as well.
The other thing to mention is that if you don't put that play button there, a lot of people who are not familiar with this type of technology won't know that it's something that is animated. They won't know that they can
clickable.
interact with it. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, good idea. You can also, create hypothetical buttons with the design graphics. Put shapes into your images, make them. It could literally say "click here." You could personalize that button text as well. So really, with in terms of the creativity, the sky is the limit.
Lee Feinberg asks, is there a way to do this with many profiles, or does it has to be one by ones? Probably Lee Feinberg is referring to a batch approach.
Mm-hmm. So in today's session, we focused on the one-to-one personalization, which is what the Nextweave extension will allow you to do. However, we do have a couple of platforms that we integrate with specifically for LinkedIn where you can achieve some form of bulk personalization or automated personalization. So platforms like Texa or Linked Helper. In the presentation that I will share with you, the deck, I've included links to these bulk personalization integrations that we have as well. So the focus for today was one-to-one personalization, but yes, it is possible to do this with multiple profiles.
Lee, thank you very much for the question. Gerald Castle asks, if I have a CSV file, kind of like, an Excel formatted file with 30 names, and I want to send messages personalized to all, how would you do that? Or how would you go about doing that?
So, if you're planning to, sorry, Inu, go ahead.
Yeah, so like Shreya mentioned, there are certain tools which are designed for LinkedIn outreach at scale. Like Texo is one of them, LinkedIn Help is one of them, and you'll come across many of them. Uh, we particularly do not have this particular method of sending. We are focused on sending it one by one. But the ones which are designed for sending bulk messages, you can get these snippets, include that in those workflows, and that's how you'll be able to send them to folks at scale. So Texo has a ton of documentation on that. If you head over to their documentation, you'll also see a detailed video on how to do this thing. So maybe after the session, I'll post that particular link in the community as well. We'll also check with the folks at Texo if we can bring them over in one of the sessions to showcase that example, because we've done that in the past and people have loved that particular session. So let me check up with folks over there and see if they can hop on for another one.
Andrew, doesn't Texel have like a knowledge base article about the Nexweave implementation also?
It does.
Yeah, absolutely. They have uh, a Notion document with a variety of use cases, including the one with Nexweave. So I'll hunt that out and I'll share that within the community. So in case you guys are not aware of where our community is, you can head over to Facebook to this particular URL. Join the community. You'll come across around 1,400 odd members over there, continuously sharing inputs on how we can do this better, examples, use cases, etc., etc. And we keep posting updates over there so that you can also learn the latest techniques on how to use personalization.
Yep. Okay, so we'll jump on to the next one here. Michael, you're very welcome, sir. Glad to hear.
Thank you, Michael.
Glad to hear that you're happy. Okay. We agree. Also, thank you so much for doing these weekly sessions. We love the concept of Nexweave. I fell in love with it 3 years ago. Andrew, was it? I think it's almost been 2 or 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been almost 3 years now. In fact, we had a long-standing series going on about a year back, where we covered a bunch of sessions. We're covering every integration as it was happening. So this came in as a set of recommendations from our recent campaign. So we decided to pick up the first 6 sessions in the first 6-part series. But looking at the response, we will keep taking in more inputs in terms of what you guys want to see us do, so that this can be a long-standing series as well.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Ravi asks, why quick campaigns? Why are they not showing up in the extensions campaign list?
So, Ravi, that's a good point to bring up. In our Nexweave extension for LinkedIn and Gmail, only the campaigns that you create from the main campaign section will show up. So I'm glad actually that you mentioned this, because this is a point that we should note.
And if that's something that maybe a lot of people want, if the more people that ask for it, that's something that the team would consider. So please let us know, whether it be here in the comments, you could send it privately, or on the roadmap, the voting option there too.
Definitely.
So
But I do
of
have to make a I do
Yes,
want to make one point there, which is that, so as you can see, the workflow that we've covered even in this demonstration, it is involving multiple different templates. So in order to be able to achieve that, a quick campaign becomes slightly limiting. So that's probably the idea behind which right now we've limited this to the longer form campaigns. But yeah, if there's anything you'd like to
Yeah,
add.
absolutely. That was the reason. The quick campaigns are good if you do just doing an image personalization or a video personalization. But if you want to have connected instances of the templates, that's where we felt that the campaign model is going to be a far more detailed to include images connected to videos on a landing page. Hence, we restricted it to only those campaigns, and also because a lot of the folks would go ahead and create a lot of quick campaigns, which might just expand the list on your plugins page as well. So that's another reason. But the primary reason is the first one, where you get a better way to connect these together and structure a campaign.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Lee says, great, I have Texel. Texel seems to be a popular tool in order to do batches and automations. Highly recommended. Next question. Gerald Castle, I would love to see a flow chart showing the steps required for each one of your use cases. I find that there are many steps required to get to the endpoint, and I find it confusing and complicated. I could see that. I could see that. That's something that maybe we could also have the community help us out with in terms of like a step-by-step workflow. That makes sense. We've seen those before in the past with other companies.
Thank you, Gerald. Yeah, that's something, that's a good point to note. I'm glad you said that. That being said, I will be sending out a link to a presentation deck, which should hopefully break it down for you a little better. And you can use that in the future as well to replicate this sort of use case. But I'll see if we can incorporate a flowchart of sorts into that so that it's a little more structured.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, Michael, we tried the embed code on Go High Level, which isn't working. It does on your landing page. Perfect. We need it working on the Go High Level to offer your service through Go High Level to many people. Can you help, please? Reach out to support. Let's see what we can do to help you out there, Mike. Yeah, that's what I'm going to
Yeah, definitely. I think reach out to support because we can have a detailed discussion to understand what exactly might be going wrong. Um, uh, I think that would be like an easier way to set up a conversation there. That being said, from what I can preliminarily understand, next week's session might be able to address um, this particular problem. I'm still not certain, but get in touch with us over chat and definitely attend next week's session. I think you'll find that interesting.
Yeah, Michael, just to add to, there are certain platforms which might be a little tricky, or because all these platforms are evolving, they might make some changes to their platform. So while we are adding documentation when we go ahead and try them out, if you guys come across any instances like this where it's not working with Go High Level or any other platform, just let us know so that we can go ahead and check that documentation and make those updates accordingly.
Perfect. Makes sense. Michael, thank you again for joining us today. Gerald says, great that you're doing these sessions. Thank you. Excellent service is appreciated. You know the team loves to hear that. Send the kudos their way. Keep sending them their way. Robbie got it. Thank you. You're very welcome, sir. Gerald Castle. Awesome. Guys, it looks like we've come to the end. We've addressed everyone's questions and everybody's happy. So it looks like we've done our job. We've done our job. Oh, Robbie, we also have issues with Safari browser on mobile. Videos taking a long time to load. One more, we are able to clone the existing campaigns, but why are we not provided access to edit the existing campaigns besides cloning them? Because for every simple change we make, a new URL is being generated.
So I'll probably answer that one. So what happens is that whenever you're creating a campaign, you might make changes to the template, or you might want to make some changes in any other element of the campaign. So if your campaign is active, it might start causing problems in your previous campaigns. Hence, we advise that even if you made any changes in the template, go ahead and make a new campaign so that your past campaigns are not getting affected because of that. Okay, so again, this is by design. You wouldn't want that. Let's say you are in the marketing department, you've initiated, let's say, a customer journey campaign. You go ahead and make some changes, and the last one or the previous ones are getting affected because of the changes that you've done. So hence, every time you make a change, go ahead and make a new campaign.
And also, isn't something that we want to apply, technically speaking, that every time there is a change, there is a new URL that's generated? I mean, technically speaking, wouldn't we want that to occur?
So let me take an example. Let's say you're doing a campaign for an audience of 50,000 individuals, and you started running the campaign. After sending out the first 5,000 messages, you realize that maybe there's an error, or maybe that particular campaign is not working.
Right.
But those 5,000 links have already been sent through the emails. Okay, so people might be watching it. You don't want a disturbed experience over there.
Right.
So when you switch and move to a different campaign, we don't want the previous experience to get affected, as a new template
Interrupted.
is set up, etc., etc. So
Yep.
hence it is by design. Otherwise, what might start happening is that the previous links might not work, or they might appear as broken URLs, etc., etc. If there's any error in the campaign as well.
Got it. Makes sense. Robbie, good question. Thank you. Opinionator digital comment card says great job. I wonder if they have a platform. Michael says thank you. Robbie says got it. Michael Price has Ender seen my messages earlier as Scott, my business partner, sent him an email last night. Also, FYI, Robbie works with us. Oh, good to know. Good to know.
Thanks, Michael. I've seen your messages. I'll probably get back to you by tomorrow on them. But I hope you like the session. Hope these were helpful in terms of doing all the campaigns, and I'm glad to see Ravi's also now attending these sessions.
That's cool. That's cool that they have a whole team joining. Bo Smith, during the white label process, the login page that you provide us still has the option for clients to get started with 100 free credits, but the link is dead. Well, all right, I see that. We'll see what we can do about taking that off.
Yeah, I think we'll make a note of this particular thing. And yeah, if you come across any such instances where there is a broken experience, let us know. We'll go ahead and clean them up.
Pocket Video, thanks for running these sessions. Very helpful. You can call this a Nexweave school. There you go. Nexweave University. Well, you know what? I'll put something out there. Pocket Video School. What if Nexweave could go in your pocket in the form of a mobile app? Wishful thinking. Wishful thinking. Bo Smith, extremely helpful and considerate.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that if folks are finding this bit complicated on a desktop device, I wouldn't want to give them the trouble to do this on a mobile device up until now. Maybe sometime in the future, but let's try and cement the use cases a little more first.
Yeah, makes
We've got
sense.
our first support for the mobile app.
Yeah. Let us know what you guys want to see in that. It'll be an interesting discussion.
For sure.
Well, Pocket Video gave me the idea. When I see Pocket Video School and I'm thinking Pocket Video, right? And like, well, what if you could make Nexweave on the go? What if you wanted to send a one-to-one personalized Nexweave video that you could attach to, let's say you copied it and then you copied it from the app to Outlook app on the phone. Yeah. Michael Price, we really appreciate you guys and your service. Appreciate you joining us too.
Thanks, Michael.
So hopefully we'll see you guys next week. Can you post the Facebook link, please? Freebird Martin. Which link are you looking for, sir? The group page. Let me see if we can find it. That's our Facebook group URL there. Would be great for network meeting follow-ups. Yeah, true. But if you're going to be following up with, let's say, 20 people, maybe the mobile isn't necessarily the best way to go, but maybe just, doing it in front of a computer. If you have, 24 follow-ups that you have to perform, yeah, it probably makes sense just doing it from a PC. Media personalization. Oh, there you go. Yep. So the ticker tape scrolling on the bottom also, that if everyone there or everyone, that's our Facebook group page. So if you're on your mobile phones, go ahead and just take a screenshot there too. Perfect.
Yeah, I guess we're done with all the questions for today's session. We're also nearing up the 1 hour mark. So hope you guys love the session. Bruce, anything you or Shreya wants to add to the session?
I just want to say thanks a lot for being active. It's really great to see an active chat and that people are coming in participating. We hope to keep this momentum going for the next few weeks. And please, whenever you implement these use cases, reach out to us and let us know. We want to share these among the community. We want to understand and study how you are using it as well. It's really going to help us in making improvements to the platform and coming up with more relevant sessions, suggestions, etc. for you guys. So let's expand the activity not just on the YouTube chat, but outside that as well. We want to hear from you. So we look forward to that relationship developing.
We're doing next Thursday, same time also.
Absolutely.
There you go.
And next week, we're going to be covering website personalization.
That's what I was going to ask. Topic. Perfect.
The second extension on the Chrome page, we'll go through that in detail next week.
Excellent. All right, guys, that wraps it up for today. Keep social distancing in mind, wash your hands, and we'll see everyone next week.
Thank you.
Take care,
Bye.
guys. Bye.